So I want to talk about the myth of muscle isolation, and that is that you can develop a bigger biceps peak here by just working a short little range of motion there, as opposed to the entire thing, or using a camber bar versus straight bar and facilitating changes of growth that way. And I'm here to tell you that's a bunch of bunk. And here's exactly why. Woo. So you've got a lot of individuals who have gone down the bodybuilding road, and I keep coming back to Arnold because with all of his success, people want to listen to a successful person. And Arnold was successful because of genetics, chemistry, hard freaking work, and surrounding himself with the right people. And that is a formula for success pretty much for anybody here. Now, if you do pull-ups, for instance, as opposed to a bent over row, you're working the same muscle, but it's shown that you could actually do more muscle damage, actually joint damage, on a pull-up than a bent over row. So people think that, okay, if I have more joint damage, then therefore there's changes in the way the muscle's working. That's not true. That's just putting your joint in a more compromised position. Now, going a little bit more deeper, certain individuals have particular muscle shapes, and they may say, hey, I work it this way, so if I work it this way, or if he works it this way, or she works it this way, therefore, if I work it that way too, I should have the same shape as them, right? It's an observational study, which observational studies, as we've covered many times, are the worst type of studies going. Sometimes it's all we've got, but now we've actually got hardcore science that's literally decades old that proves this. It's about genetics. Certain people have different genetics. I don't want to say better genetics, but different genetics to give them certain shapes and sizes. And that's very important to know. I mean, you're not going to get a Scott Steiner Big Papa Pump little peak if you are not Scott Steiner. Going back to Arnold, you're not going to look like Arnold unless you're Arnold. And guess what? Arnold's not going to look like you. Or pick whatever female that you want to look like, ladies. If you're not them, and they're not going to look like you either. This is all genetics. And the idea is for you to utilize your genetics to be the best you possible. And oddly enough, you look in the mirror, we all look in the mirror, and say, oh, I look like crap. What the crap. It's amazing how you are viewed in other people's eyes as you view them through your eyes as well. So believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that most likely do want to look like what your genetic potential is like. How do we test to see if going through partial ranges of motion work or not? Well, we can utilize EMG, electromyography. So by using electromyography, we put the pads all over, actually insert into the muscle just a little bit, and we can see the electrical impulses, the stimulation of the muscles, the different areas of the muscle, and see how it's being worked. And there's a study done comparing incline versus decline presses, that is. So up versus down for all y'all. Up versus down. And if you take your shirt off, you can see that if you're pushing up, the muscle kind of bunches up a little bit higher, so therefore it's believed that you're working more of the upper chest. And with a decline press, you see the lower part of the pec kind of bulks up, and it looks like you're working the lower part more. Again, observational. Through the EMG study, which is a good study in the NSCA Journal of Strength and Conditioning, it proves that there's no significant changes, no significant difference, I should say, in an incline press versus decline press in terms of muscle stimulation. Meaning, it doesn't matter if you're pushing up or pushing down, you're still working your entire pec. You're not going to get any type of workout that works the origin, the inner pec. The way you work the inner pec is by growing the entire pec as a whole, and by default, the muscle fibers are going to be bigger, thicker in the middle. You're not going to be able to work a bicep any different to get a different shape. Again, the genetics come into play. This is fact, not fiction, not something I'm making up. Stop wasting your time, in this case, trying to isolate different parts of the muscle in the movement. The only thing you're going to do is cause injury by working perhaps partial rep ranges as opposed to a full rep range. If your muscle's only used to going from here to here, and then you have a movement that goes all the way up to there, chance of injury is greatly increased, and let's avoid that. So be happy with your genetics, learn to be happy with your genetics, utilize your genetics in a way that makes you the best version of you possible, and as always, live functionized.